I'm Gab. He's Jules. Blue skies over West London. And not so much the football club in West London, and we'll be getting to that in a minute. But we are through. We've had a 3-goal first leg deficit overturned. Who'd have thought that? Yeah. Sorry, Boda. We have our quarterfinal matchups. We'll be breaking all of that down. Big news out of CAF.
Oh, incredible.
We have new AFCON champions.
2 months later, yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
Because you can be sure there are going to be more appeals. We'll get into all of that, but I think we have to start with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea hammered at home by Paris Saint-Germain 3-0. Obviously, they lost the first leg 5-2. So it was obviously always going to be uphill there.
Yeah.
We're talking about the game. At the top, though, we need to know about the big news that came out Monday. They were punished by the Premier League. This is the old story about their 10 bazillion counts of illegal payments to agents that date back to the Abramovich era. They made a big deal like, record fine. Like, yeah, it's not that much.
No,
it's like 10.75 million.
Yeah. Exactly.
A 9-month academy transfer ban, which I'm guessing does not apply to Strasbourg. And also a year-long first-team transfer ban, which is suspended. So I guess if they make illegal payments again. Now, a lot of this is because it was self-reported. We're going to look at this a little bit later.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on at Chelsea. The other thing, I want to start with like the stupid stuff, but it was so stupid that I feel like I need to mention it. Rosinha is getting absolute pelters right now. There was a weird thing with the huddle and respecting the ball at the weekend, which I guess you and Nadim talked about on Monday. Now, there was 3-0 down or 2-0 down. He sends on Garnacho, and he gives Garnacho detailed instructions. There's 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, they were 3-0 down, yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know, to give it to Tosin, it's on the shallow by injury. So, I was sat just behind him. I could not believe it either, to be fair. And Garnacho, who then gets the piece of paper, he's walking towards Tosin to give him the instructions. And I guess of the reshuffling of the defense because Shalobah is coming off. And but it looks surreal that at that moment in time, after pretty much everything that Liam Rosinha tried in this game didn't work out, failed. That he thinks it's a good idea at that time, caught by all the cameras, obviously. But even the Chelsea fans who were not far from me could see and were like, what is going on here?
Yeah. We're going to talk about him some more. You have to. I'm all for you want to do new age stuff like the huddle or even the notes. That's normal. But you have to be aware of how it's going to be perceived and how people are going are going to perceive you. And I don't think he helped himself there. But let's talk European champions, Paris Saint-Germain. Mr. Negative, after the 3-1 loss to Monaco. The wheels are coming off. The Club World Cup ruined everything for us. How close are you to last year's level?
Oh, far away. There was nothing against them in this game. Chelsea were horrendous. In the first leg was a bit different. In the second leg there was nothing. So I want to see a better opposition, a team with more cohesion. I'm not sure if Liverpool will offer that in the quarterfinal, but certainly it's better from PSG. It's still, for me, it's still far from what we saw in the second half of last season.
So for me, one of the fascinating aspects were over the two ties, Paris Saint-Germain's expected goals, depending how you count them, were around 2.
Yeah.
Chelsea actually had high expected goals.
In both games,
In both games. But it's 2 cumulative over the 2 legs, and yet Paris Saint-Germain scored 8 goals.
Yeah.
I think this is what, I read an interesting comment about this, but this is when you have outstanding individual talent who can pull off shots and score goals that others cannot, those bad chances become much more relevant. When you also consider that arguably on 4 of the 8 goals that Paris Saint-Germain scored over the 2 legs, there were craven defensive errors from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Does this speak a little bit to why you say we're not at last year's level?
Yeah, absolutely. But then there was still a lot of really good things that they did in this game. The rotations in midfield through the whole team tactically were incredible. Again, I think Luis Enrique just schooled Liam Rosinha, but maybe it's just normal. Rosinha is a young coach, nowhere near as good as Luis Enrique, nowhere as experienced as Luis Enrique, so he will learn a lot from it. But tactically, there was like a world apart, really. But you're right. It's still the first leg is not a 5-2 game. We said that after it. The second leg is a little bit different, obviously. But yeah, I want to see more of this PSG team against better opposition.
All right, Jules, let's continue on Paris Saint-Germain for a second, because we need to show respect to the Club World Cup runners-up. No,
Yes, thank you.
To the debate. All right. When we talk about the level that they're at, they had good points, bad points. Is it just because last season, and it's not like, by the way, it's not like they were atrocious in the first half of last season. There's this narrative. Yes, they struggled. They had to go through the playoffs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But they were still right up there in Ligue 1, right? In the first half of the season.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen. Like, teams do go through the playoffs. When we talk about how they're behind, all right, for me, one obvious area where they're behind is the goalkeeper. But obviously, that doesn't have to do with the way they play. When you see the way they play, now that most of the injured guys, other than Fabien Ruiz, are back. And by the way, Fabien Ruiz gets replaced by Warren Zaire-Emery, who's, it's not like he's like some guy off the street. He's a very good footballer. Young, but a good footballer. Who do you think is furthest behind the level that you expect them to be at, or is it a collective thing?
I think it's a bit of both, really.
All right, let's deal with the individuals first.
Yeah.
Doué,
Doué, apart from the Monaco first leg, where he was outstanding when he came on, not at the level of the second half of last season, really. Kvaratskhelia is the one, maybe the closest, but again, by moments, where he has those moments, like when he came on in the first leg, or even he was outstanding in the whole second leg. But I think at times he kind of picks his games a little bit. What was last season? He finished so strongly in every game. Dembele got a lot of injuries. He's coming back to he's so important to this team collectively and individually, but he's still coming back to that kind of level. Vitinha is not as good as last season because he's played too many games and he looks tired. Joao Neves just coming back from an injury. Zaire-Emery, I think.
And Joao Neves also, I know there's a lot of young players, but I feel like what he did last season, I don't know if you agree on this, is what I'm asking. Like, he's still, was he 20, 21?
21, yeah.
I played 21 in central midfield. That when you don't just have one job, because in this system, right, there's a level of playmaking, there's a level of defending, there's a level of making runs and goal scoring. I mean, that is a really, really big ask. And so you're going to have maybe more highs and lows than another young player might. Yeah, there's a reason we don't often see people at that age, unless it's Pedri, starting in midfield, central midfield. It's more likely if we went to with wingers or center backs or center forwards, right?
Yeah. I mean, for him, it's more the injuries really that have slowed him down this season, because I think the rest would not have changed compared to last season. The job he did on Cole Palmer in the 2 legs is just incredible for somebody of his age, really. So I think it's more, again, the injuries which PSG compared to last season have obviously been impacted a lot by. Or if they haven't, like Pacho and Vitinha, they've played so much for the last 18 months that they are, showing it, really. So it's just that. But what was pleasing, I think, in the 2 games, and especially to some extent the second leg more than the first leg, was that collective strength that they've showed again, like last season. The energy a bit more than what we saw, like Hakimi, the first leg in the 90th minute when he gives the cross for Kvaratskhelia, 94th minute. Keep still running at high intensity after 90 minutes of going up and down the pitch is really good. Same in the second leg, where fitness-wise, clearly PSG were very strong, and they didn't play at the weekend when Chelsea played Newcastle, for example. So that would have been an advantage. And that won't be the case against Liverpool, because in between the 2 Liverpool games is the last PSG game, and Lens don't want that game postponed, unlike Nantes. So they will have to play that game on the Sunday. But their fitness is also, it looks like a much better level than anything we've seen this season. So that's encouraging.
You mentioned Lens there, and this is one thing I sometimes wonder about, right? On paper, it should be better when you have the league title wrapped up. You have a big lead, so you can rest players and stuff like that. There's other schools of thought that say, actually, if you have some level of competitive tension, if you're still playing for something, you're more locked in. Yes, you may be physically more fatigued, but mentally,
Yeah.
there's a difference. So this season, even though Lens lost at the weekend, which means that if they win the head-to-head, they can't overtake Paris
Yeah.
Saint-Germain unless
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain drop points this
Yeah,
weekend,
yeah.
right? And PSG still have the game in hand.
Yeah.
How do you see it? I mean, from what we've seen, because we've seen Paris Saint-Germain wrap up the title in March in past years,
Yeah.
and we've seen others where it's taken a lot longer.
Yeah.
Where would you rather be?
It's a good question, Gabby. I don't know. Luis Enrique said the other day that he prefers those big games, like you mentioned, one of the two theories that you mentioned.
So he
doesn't
prefers
mind.
having the league go down to the wire.
Well, that at least having that Lens game, which could be the final of the league in a way, if you want to, between the two Liverpool games, is not ideal. I think he would agree to that. But you're right. You keep your players in that bubble for this week of Liverpool, Lens, Liverpool again, and you've got this kind of bubble that you build in, and the players are locked in, and they've got that super focus that maybe if you play Metz instead of Lens, people don't really take it seriously, and that so
or you might be tempted to play, more Mayulus and Baez and the B team.
Yes, maybe as well. So we see. By the time they play that game, the Lens game, they might be 4, 6, 7 points above, maybe, or might just be down to 1 again. We'll see, and maybe that will have an influence on what Luis Enrique does in terms of game plan, starting 11, all of that. So we'll see.
All right, let's talk Chelsea. Let's start with the punishment. Now, they faced, I think it's 74 counts, and there's still an FA charge to come. So they're charged both by the Premier League and by the Football Association. They were also charged by UEFA. They resolved that. So these date back to payments that were made by companies linked to Roman Abramovich, essentially mostly to agents and middlemen, intermediaries, to quote unquote facilitate transfers.
Yeah.
And these are payments off the books. So there's two aspects. One is they're off the books, so they don't show up in financial fair play, which is a thing. But the other thing is kind of like, if you pay somebody in cash, you pay somebody off the books, it's not traceable. The implication is, given the sides too, is that these may well have been kickbacks.
Yeah.
These were linked to a whole bunch of high-profile players, Eden Hazard being the most notable one, but also David Luiz, Nemanja Matic, Willian. Andre Shirley, not so much.
Maybe
but I mean, these are very, very serious charges.
Yeah.
Now, I think Chelsea's owners might have suspected this because when they took over the club, they held back 100 million. Believing perhaps, or saying, just in case, we're going to do a forensic accounting and we're going to see if these payments exist. And they found the payments, and then they said, all right, they self-reported themselves. So Chelsea will say, look, it's a record fine. These things happened by the previous owner a long time ago. Others are going to say, well, hang on a minute. This is not sufficient. There should be a point deduction too. And the reason there should be a point deduction, they would say, is you were able to build a dominant position because you won titles and Champions League titles with these players who you got by doing something illegal.
Yeah.
That dominant position allows you to have more money, allows you to be a bigger, stronger club today.
Yeah.
And we need compensation today. We need to redress this today. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a BS punishment, to be fair, completely. I think
you think you should get points docked?
That 10 million is nothing for Chelsea. The suspended year-long first-team transfer ban is just ridiculous. We agree on that. The academy one, they're so strong at academy level anyway. It's not 9 months without being able to sign the most promising 12-year-old of London that will disturb this Chelsea academy anyway. So for me, this is complete BS, those sanctions and that punishment. The fact that it was so long ago, I think probably played a part in why the Premier League was okay with the fine and the suspended transfer ban. But personally, I don't think it's enough. There certainly would have been other ways of hitting them harder and in a way making a precedent. Because if I'm another team, if I'm Aston Villa right now, thinking like, oh, a team like that, or Newcastle, I think like, I'll do the same. Because, okay, now it's different. But imagine in theory, I'll do the same. I'll pay off some agents, so I'm sure to sign
Yeah.
Pedri and Lamine Yamal, and they will come to us instead of going to City or Arsenal or
Right.
Bayern or PSG. And then in 6 or 7 years' time, like Chelsea, because those go back a long time, then we're going to get a fine and a suspended transfer ban. So why not doing the same?
No, because I think so the counter argument to that would be, yeah, you can do that, but you have to sell the club at that point. Because a big part of the reason is that there's a new ownership. Right?
Yeah.
So they're saying, is it fair to Bowley and Ibali and Clear Lake that we punish them for things that happened not just a long time ago?
Yeah, but by a previous owner.
By a previous owner, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So I think so to do this, you would have to cheat, add a lot of value to your club, sell it.
Yeah.
And then you could get away with
have
it,
a bit of
potentially.
freedom for that.
The irony,
But you see what I mean? My idea is like, for that, I think others will look at it and say, okay, well, we can do the same then.
Yeah. This is very serious stuff. Like anecdotally, I don't want to get anybody in trouble or get the lawyers involved, but we know kickbacks and illegal payments to agents.
Yeah.
And there's legal ones too, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
sure, of course, they're commissioned.
This happens. This happens to different degrees. This is how certain players end up in certain places. And until we have greater transparency, we really hold clubs to account. None of this like, oh, no, that's privileged information. Oh, no, we can't reveal the It's all nonsense.
Yeah.
This is, and when clubs complain about it, I mean, I was with UEFA people and they know that all clubs are always complaining about the amount of money that they have to pay to agents and stuff like that. And we've heard about the Holland deal and whatever. Yeah. You guys, you're the guys paying it. You guys come out and say, hey, to sign player X, we had to pay Bob and his uncle $10 million.
Yeah.
Come out and say it.
Yeah.
Hey, what is stopping you? If you have nothing to hide, otherwise you are breaking rules. And until the clubs realize this and voluntarily come forward with this, there's going to be risks that this continues. Let's switch it over to Rosinha. Okay, this kind of new age guru vibe with the glasses, and he speaks well. I've been in this country long enough to know that there's still a sense of what a football man should look like, especially if he's English.
Yeah.
He does not look like a football man. He looks like the kindly, which is ironic because, of course, he was a professional footballer for 12 years. His dad was a professional footballer, right? But when you go out there with the glasses, he's an educated guy, which I don't think helps you, frankly.
Yeah.
Right? They put up with, educated Wenger, the professor, the glasses and stuff like that when it's a foreigner. And even then, Wenger had to take a long time to go and convince people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a certain idea. You have gone completely against that idea. On top of that, you layer other things on, respect the ball, the huddle, this stuff with the notes, 5 minutes from time. You're unnecessarily hurting yourself. I watched it came up on my YouTube feed. I didn't even know this, but Nicky Butt, who I like a lot, Paul Scholes, I don't like as much as Nicky Butt. They're doing this thing and they're absolutely killing him for the huddle, for this. This was before the notes, right?
Yeah.
This forms public opinion. And once that goes over into the fans, and the fans quickly turn against you.
Yeah.
And maybe some players too.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, the huddle is not his idea. It's Rhys James' idea. I think he went along. The players wanted to do it.
But what about this respect the ball nonsense?
I think that's his interpretation of what they're doing, that kind of thing.
So
but
maybe if it's Rhys James' idea, you let Rhys James talk about it and just shut up
sure.
about it.
But then he's asked every 3 days because he does a million press conferences every week. He's asked about it. He has to answer. His communication at times, I can agree, doesn't always go down well with fans and
he's too intelligent.
Maybe
he's too intelligent.
But he's not helping himself either, Gab, when he says, in manage, you've got man and age, and we are here. And I'm
it's the new age stuff. It's like he's got like.
I know. And I love him.
He listens to self-help podcasts. You know that. He's got that.
But I like the fact that he sees the game differently. He behaves differently than old school managers, for example. He was very good in France. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's young, and I think he's showing that. He's showing it on the touchline. What he does, like the piece of paper to Garnacho, for example, I don't think that came from a bad intention. He was so focused on the game. Didn't matter if it was the 84th minute, 3-0 down, etc. He wanted his defense to change something because one player was coming off injured. So I can get that. I think a lot of the criticism is really harsh on him. However, despite all of the positive I've just said, he makes calls that are not working. He tries things that don't come off. He sometimes probably thinks a little bit too hard about what to do and not to do. And despite some really good things at times with the ball, and I think again there's something there for me that says that he will become a really good manager one day. One is just there, he's not there yet. But again, maybe it's normal, he's so young and so inexperienced. But two, he's not helping himself with some of the decisions.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. We'll become a really good manager one day. I think the question is, will it be at Chelsea?
Will he be there next season?
Yeah. And by the way, I was just thinking about this. If I look at like Europe's top teams, okay, I'm 99% sure Arteta will be back, and I'm 99% sure Company will be back, and Hansi Flick too. Other than that, for me,
Enrique as well.
He's so weird though.
No.
Okay, all right, okay.
Luis
But
Enrique
yeah, he
was-
does find him really unpredictable.
No, but-
Other than that, I think of like the top teams, there's a decent chance that many of these guys won't be there. So this really could be a massive
absolutely.
summer. But that's just an aside. In terms of the other factor, which is still the elephant in the room, is, and I said this for Maresca as well, this is a really badly put together side.
Yeah, but it's not a bad squad. It's
but
badly structured, but it's not a bad
okay,
squad.
no. Nobody's saying he has bad players.
I'm
Although
just saying.
I also think some of these players are really overvalued. You're buying potential,
maybe,
which is
yeah,
part of the
yeah.
business model,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But and so he faces the same struggle in making the pieces fit. So he's gone in a different direction.
Yeah.
The thing you argued that, okay, I need to play Enzo plus Caicedo plus another, runner in midfield.
It's pretty
Fine.
obvious,
And
yeah.
My five, okay, it's very obvious. It wasn't so obvious to the 5 sporting directors who said, let's assemble 1 billion wingers.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Or the Nico Jackson. I go back to the Nico Jackson. I'm not, I don't, as you know, I'm not a Nico Jackson guy. But really? We moved him to make room for Delap and Guiu? Really? And Joe Pedro, who's really more of a 10, fantastic as he is, and yeah, he can do a job. What happens if Joe Pedro gets hurt? How fun is the rest of the season going to be?
No, I know.
Like, these things, and this is a situation he inherited, and it's crap that Maresca had to deal with as well.
Yeah.
And when Maresca started acting funny, which ultimately cost him his job on New Year's Eve, I might add, there was a reason behind it. And so at that point, who's going to carry the can? The 5 directors of football or Rosinha?
Yeah.
So it's still uphill. Do we still, even with the English debate?
I saw people leaving on the hour mark, which I've never seen. You go to Stamford Bridge far more than me.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Because half an hour, the discontent within that fan base was so big. And he was 2-0 down. He took Enzo, Palmer, and Joao Pedro, so his 3 best players off, which I think a lot of the fans, it's not that they didn't understand, because you play Everton this weekend, you're in the fight to finish top 5, which is not guaranteed. I can understand that-ish, because all they wanted, I think, in that second half, at 2-0 down, was just for the players to show a bit of pride and fight back. I think they knew that you could not qualify, but they just wanted a bit of that. If they had stayed on the pitch, come back to 2-2, I think the fans would have been happy with that in a way. Instead, it took them 3 off to bring 3 players on that obviously not at the same level. Mayulu scores a great finish, and then 3, and then the booze and the toxicity of the crowd gets even bigger. And I just didn't really understand that move from him again. So to go back to that point, he's not helping himself.
My friend Stu dropped $4,000 on tickets when the draw came out, flew him and his wife and his family over, and left at halftime.
Yeah.
I
I feel for people like him, for sure.
All right, enough Chelsea. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
No miracles for Manchester City, who have Bernardo Silva sent off after 20 minutes and lose 2-1 at home to Real Madrid. Jules, Pep Guardiola got spiky after the game.
Yeah, he did. He did with Rudiger, for example, where they had a bit of an argument on the pitch, which, I mean, if there's an argument you want to pick with somebody, maybe, I don't know, go after Brahim Diaz, who was very happy because he just won AFCON as well. But maybe not Rudiger. With the press too, he said everybody wants me fired, which it was not the question at all that was asked to him.
Nobody thinks he's going to be fired. People think you're going to leave Pep.
Yeah. But so he was in a bad mood, which you can understand. This is a massive failure, not because you lost to Real Madrid, because it's Real Madrid, but because they were not in good form coming into this game, because you're Manchester City, because you've got Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland and all these incredible squads. And more importantly, probably, is over the 2 games, you were atrocious. Collectively, I know this game, you go down to 10 after 20 minutes, it's over. But the first leg was terrible, one of the worst performances we've seen, not just this season, but in the whole of
He said they were
Guardiola's
good for
career
15
at City.
minutes.
Yeah, it was good for 15 seconds, maybe. I don't know. So I can
And he keeps
understand why he's
fiddling with
moody.
the squad, Jules.
Yeah, no,
I know you
you've said-
disputed that. You said it's still always the 4-2-2-2. I mean,
Yeah, but
whatever it
that's
is,
why-
it's a crazy interpretation
It
when you
is.
make these choices that you make. I mean,
He's
Margay,
struggling.
what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, he was slow in that first leg, to be fair, and got absolutely battered by Real Madrid forwards. You wanted a bit more
What?
experience and pace in the second leg, maybe, which can understand. But look at the high line when they were still with 11 men.
It's-
You get done on the high line, and it's a terrible goal to concede. Okay, I know it leads to the penalty, etc., but every choice that he's making at the moment, again, a bit like what we said for Rosinha, is just not working out.
Yeah, except Rosinha was dropped into the team in
Absolutely,
January. He
absolutely.
built this team.
Yeah,
He's been there 10
absolutely.
years. And there's a planning side to this. And I don't know. And I think it's frustrating for him. And I shouldn't go to his choice of, I'd never seen a manager wearing a lumberjack shirt with that design at a game.
I know.
It
but
sounds like, what is he rating Julien Nagelsmann's wardrobe here? Like,
he's always been quite stylish, I think.
but was that stylish what he wore?
I think so. Very
right,
much so.
okay.
That's only
I
what.
will
That's only
defer to you.
how he was received within like the fashion world in a way. But that's him. That criticism doesn't. I don't really understand. Not from you, Gab.
No,
but
I'm not
in
critical,
general,
yeah.
because I saw social media and it was all about that shirt that he was wearing. I was like, surely there's other things we should focus on. here.
No, I think though when you dress like that, when you've never dressed like that before, people are going to say, "Oh, look, you're drawing attention to yourself." Maybe to take it away from the team. I don't know.
No, he's always dressed differently than other managers, that's for sure. And sticking with Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. got both goals and made some headlines after he scored, as usual. Gab, you've been critical of his goal celebrations before, so are you going to give him a hard time again?
So he gave an explanation. So basically, what he did was after he scored, he went and he made like the crying gesture with his eyes, right? And he explained afterwards what it was. That the last time he was there,
Yeah.
you remember they put up that banner which showed him crying because Rodri had won the Ballon d'Or and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think this is bad. It's not as offensive as what we've seen afterwards. It wasn't necessarily the stare down of the fans, which we've seen in that winds people up. However, the problem is on the pitch, if I'm a Man City fan, I don't know why you're doing it. I don't know the context. I don't necessarily think those two things back. When you celebrate towards the fans and you do stuff like this, I think, well, I don't think you should celebrate towards the opposing fans anyway. But if you
Yeah.
are going to do it, even in a way that's supposed to be funny, and this maybe was supposed to be lighthearted from what he said, you have to make sure they understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just that. But I thought he played really well. Again, there's no defending, but that's not. He doesn't need to defend. He's the only guy up there.
Yeah.
Liverpool turned things around against Galatasaray, romping to a 4-0 win, and it could have been more as they missed a penalty as well. Jules, I said it before. Do you agree with me? If you're going to play Salah, let's go front two.
No, I don't disagree. I don't agree with you.
Because you wouldn't play him at all. You would bench
I
him.
would not play him at all.
Okay,
to
Federico
be
Chiesa.
fair.
But let's say you have to play him.
Yeah, but even still, and I'm not really too convinced it was the front two either. Yesterday, I mean, Galatasaray is so bad. It could have been any formation from Liverpool. They had 32 shots, 16 on target. The XG is over 5. Surely we've never seen an XG like that. 11 against 11 in a last 16 Champions League tie ever. Surely
We
it
might
can't
have
be.
seen that. It was in Bayern Atalanta, something like that.
Oh,
Or
well, yeah.
Bayern.
I mean, yeah. Those
We saw
two
it last
games
week.
really,
Yeah.
but,
But
that's
yeah.
it. It was ridiculous, and I can't wait to see this Liverpool PSG tie. I think it would be very interesting to see what Liverpool do before that. They have to get it right in the league. They have to get it right in the FA Cup against City too. Before and after the international break, all of that. So it would be really interesting. actually.
Jury's still out for me, Jules, because I saw the second half against Spurs. And,
Yeah.
and I said, so I don't know if it was just Galatasaray
Yeah.
collapsing.
Yeah,
Poor
I think so.
Osimhen, right?
I know. Yeah, I don't know what happened with his arm, but yeah, it was.
Come on.
And Gab, we also saw in this game a horrific injury as Noah Lang severely lacerated his thumb after colliding with an advertising holdboard.
Yeah,
sorry.
he ran into the hoarding side of the pitch. His thumb got stuck. It's one of those gross, horrible injuries. We hope it was okay. Some reports even suggested he had severed part of his thumb because it got stuck.
across his finger.
I really feel for him. He was obviously in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's going to be okay. Jules, we're not done. We have more quick
Yes.
hits. Barcelona demolished Newcastle 7-2 to advance. Jules, it was 2-2 at halftime.
Just before, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was. And I think we knew, we said it before, that Newcastle would score, that they had the kind of style to disturb the
That
Barca.
Barcelona has the wacky defending.
Yeah, no, true. So that first half is exactly what you would have expected looking into the game before and doing your analysis of what the game would look like. So we were spot on. The problem against a team like Barcelona, if you're Newcastle and trying to play like you did in the first half of the whole 90 minutes, at some point they're just going to destroy you. And that's what happened. I don't think that between the two teams, the difference is 5 goals, all in all in aggregate, because it was 8-3 in aggregate. I think it's closer than that. But if you are not perfect against a team like that, then they will just walk over you so much. So well done to Barcelona. I'm not sure how much more we've learned about Barcelona in this game, but yeah, that was expected.
I don't know what the rest of the season looks like for Newcastle.
Yeah. And sticking with Barcelona, Joan Laporta was re-elected president on Sunday with the largest margin of victory in the club's history. Gab, you've given him a hard time in the past. Are you surprised?
Look, I mean, he'll point to the fact that Barcelona are really, really good on the pitch. The stadium's going to open and stuff like that. Nobody wants boring accounting stuff. You made a big deal of the fact that it's a record margin, but that's because when things are going well, got people often run unopposed. So like that's 100-0. He got 68.2% of the vote. Victor Font got 29.8%. What I found really shocking in this, surprised me, 42.34% turnout.
Yeah, because you have to go physically. You can't vote online or by post.
Okay, fine, but like,
so it's only the people who live in Barcelona that can go.
But we're told how important.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Not all the coolest are not all from the area either. That's the problem. And I think Victor Font was not too happy by that. But he's in the rules, like in the. Right.
No, but like, I guess it makes sense. Laporta is entitled to. This is his moment. Tottenham Hotspur beat Atletico Madrid at home 3-2. Jules, it's not enough because of the 5-2 hammering in the first leg. But it's Igor Tudor's first win. They showed a reaction.
Exactly. And that's great. After the draw at Liverpool that we mentioned briefly earlier, they played with pride. They went for it. They were good at times. Okay, not always. And there's still a lot of issues in this team with injuries, but also on the pitch. But they won, and that's the most important. It gives them a bit of momentum for the huge Forest game at the weekend on Sunday in the league, which is a massive 6-pointer and all of that narrative. So that's all. I think they knew, although if Matistel scores his big chance just before the break at 1-0 down, to make it 2 down at half-time, it might be a very different story. But all they wanted was to win, and they did. And I think they knew they would not qualify, likely. But that's very good for them, very important for Tudor.
Musso's not Oblak, but he came up big.
Yeah, exactly. Arsenal are through with a 2-0 win over Bayer Leverkusen at the Emirates. And that man, Eberechi Eze, scores a worldie, Gab.
Yeah, I've been hard on Arsenal because I want to see them play well, blah, blah, blah. I think they played better in this game, also because Bayer Leverkusen weren't good. But a usual formula, the first half, the possession was 50-50. Just Bayer Leverkusen did absolutely nothing with it.
The ball,
and I think that made it easy. Tremendous goal from Eze. Nice goal from Declan Rice, too.
Yeah.
When you score goals like that, which are down to individuals, we're still not seeing, I think, the best from Saka, the best from Odegaard, because he's not there.
Chances that they could have.
But certainly in this game, I think they could have scored 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly.
There were 4 3-goal deficits after the first leg, Jules, and just one of them got overturned. How about some love for Rui Borges, Sporting, and they came back to beat media darlings Bodo Glimt 5-0.
Yeah, and to be fair, I thought they could have scored more.
Spoiling the narrative, huh?
I thought from the beginning Sporting would qualify anyway. Bodo Glimt should probably, even the away game against Inter Milan was difficult. We mentioned that. I know they won and they took their chances really well.
They played super defensive against Inter Milan. They played super defensive here, and they were punished for it.
Exactly. And I don't understand how a team that is that good with the ball against Sporting, if you've been Barcelona, Bayern, PSG, Arsenal, play, park the bus. In a game like that, they missed a trick massively. No real surprise that Bayern are through. Gap, obviously. They destroy Atalanta 4-1 in the second leg in Munich and advanced 10-2 on aggregate. Are they your favorite to win it?
So one of my favorites, cliches is people talk about the importance of clean sheets. So they failed to keep a clean sheet against Atalanta, who are what, 7th in Serie A in both games. So no, definitely. No, I'm kidding. I think they have to be favorites. The individual match winners. The fact that we're going back to the debate we had earlier about whether it's better to, have kind of the league wrapped up, which kind of is.
Yeah.
They have so many weapons. I thought this was another statement win. And no Kimmich, no Michael Olise. Atalanta, you can say, they're not very good. Yeah, sure. But they played with no pressure, no freedom. And Bayern still dismantled them. Yeah, for me, they're either 1 or number 1A, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
So well done, Vincent Kompany. Once again, he's proving the haters wrong, as is Nico Jackson. Jules, we have our quarterfinal lineups, which means it's time to play the prediction percentages game. Let's start with what I discovered was the silver path.
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain, the defending champions, against Liverpool, 6-time winners.
6-time winners. Second leg being in Liverpool, I think, is an advantage. There's no doubt. Right now, I think PSG are a better team than Liverpool. Certainly in terms of collective strength, if you want, and things like that. At this time. So I would give my PSG boys, and I promise you I'm trying to be objective here and not too biased, a slight advantage because, on the other hand, I know this Liverpool team has been a little bit dysfunctional at times, fragile defensively, the Salah issue that we mentioned too, and all of that. But they can, I think, really rally around a tie like this and get together and get better. So I would go 55-45 PSG.
I might go a little bit higher PSG just simply because the levels of dysfunction of Liverpool are enormous and because they've been so fortunate that Konate and Van Dijk have been fit all season. Even when they've been bad. Even when Konate's had some shocking games. There's just certain little things that can go wrong again. So I'm going to go a little bit higher for Paris Saint-Germain. But yeah, I agree with you. Liverpool, Anfield, second leg, anything can happen. I think if I'm Lucho, I have to think in terms of I want to win this in the first leg. And as we mentioned, that big Paris Saint-Germain game against Lens in between. The other game, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Talk about royalty. What is it? 21 Champions League titles between them?
This would be very special. Incredible. You can never, we've said that so many times, and including that City game for Real Madrid, you can never write them off, obviously.
Wait, you're supposed to say that about the Germans in general, right?
True, but Bayern are the favorites, we said. So Bayern have to be the favorite of this tie because we have made them our favorite of the whole competition.
Yeah.
So it'll be Bayern, a little bit more than Real Madrid. I still think that this Real Madrid team beats City because City are not very good right now too. Bayern are so much better than Machine. I was going to go 70-30. That's probably too high. So I go 60-40 Bayern.
Okay. I'm going to go, for me, it's a lot closer than this. Maybe I'm overrating the Thibaut Courtois factor.
Injured Thibaut Courtois,
Sorry?
Injured Thibaut Courtois. And injured Barcola, too, for the PSG-Liverpool game.
Courtois definitely not back?
We don't know yet, but he might be back, he might not, but he came off injured.
Okay. On the other hand, Mbappe's back. Bellingham maybe back.
Soon,
so I don't know if that kind of balances things out a little bit. I'm going to go 52% Bayern. I just think this is going to be, it's going to be so close. And it's just going to be like, I was talking to people at UEFA, like, how do you even find referees for these two games? Which is, that's going to be a challenge as well.
Gab, let's do the blue path now. So the other side of the draw, starting with Barcelona against Atletico Madrid.
So the fun fact here is that Atletico Madrid's run of games, you have the derby against Real Madrid.
On Sunday,
Then you have Barcelona in the league. Then you have, you might be out of sequence, but still, close.
After
Then you have Barcelona in
break.
the Champions League.
Yeah.
Then you have Sevilla in the league. Then you have Barcelona again in the Champions League. And then you have the Copa del Rey final against La Sociedad. This is absolutely brutal for El Cholo. Barcelona, again, for me, slight favorites. And the reason I say slight favorites is I remember what happened in the Copa del Rey semifinal when Atletico Madrid destroyed them. I remember the ingredient, and I think All Black will be back, about how a shutdown keeper can resolve a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I like the romantic story about Griezmann. I like the only living Sorloth in captivity. And Barcelona always have those mistakes in them. I'm sorry. I don't want to go back with the high line, the non-high line, blah, blah, blah. It's just not a question of high line. It's a question of defenders who aren't particularly good.
Yeah,
and the ones who are good or relatively good are injured. I mean, maybe they'll be back, but you're out there with Cancelo, Gerard Martin, whatever. It's just not the same thing. So for me, let's make Barcelona favorites. I'm going to go 55-45.
All I want is 2 games like we had in the Copa del Rey semi-final, home and away.
Well, 2 one-sided games, 2 one-sided demolitions.
I want those goals. I want suspense in a way over the 2 legs, and I think we will get it again. Second leg in Barcelona, I think, is a massive, massive advantage again. So I go 60-40 Barcelona. I can't see Atletico being able to knock them out. Arsenal, Sporting Arsenal is the other quarterfinal on that side of the draw.
All right, on paper, this is the most unbalanced. People just don't think Sporting are particularly good, even though they beat Paris Saint-Germain, although with a lot of luck. I think this is a trap game for Arsenal. I always wonder about Arteta's mentality in this, because obviously every game's important and you're competing in the league and in the League Cup. But, you can't say, guys, this is the most important game of the season every week. And they're going to have a whole run. Yeah. And I think the single biggest risk for Arsenal, for me, is twofold. One is Odegaard and Saka aren't backfiring the way they can be. Because I think this is a game where against Sporting, you have to out-football them. All right, sorry. Let me amend that. Yes, you can get a moment of genius like we saw from Eze. And yes, you can get your set pieces. But you can't rely on those every game. So to give yourself the best possible chance, you need to out-football Sporting. And Arsenal haven't always done that, especially against lesser teams. Because it's hard to find the right mentality, the right kind of mindset and right approach. That is how Arsenal can lose this. Are they going to? No, I think they're still overwhelming favorites because they have better players. So I'm going to go 70% or even 75% Arsenal. But I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be a challenging one. What do they have in between? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, I can't remember what the game is.
A lot is the mindset. A lot is a carryover from the international break. This is, do not underestimate Sporting.
No, I don't think they will. It's the Gyökeres derby, of course. I think Arsenal.
I wouldn't play Gyökeres for that reason. I'd play, you've got the best on earth, Kai Havertz.
I would play Gyökeres every day in those 2 games. 80-20 for me, for Arsenal. It would be a massive upset. One of the biggest upset if they were to be knocked out by Sporting.
Neymar has spoken of his disappointment in not being called up for the Brazil squad for the upcoming friendlies against France and Croatia. Are you surprised Ancelotti snubbed him?
No, absolutely not. He traveled the other day to go and watch him, and Neymar could not play because he was not fully fit, and he's not fully fit. If you watch the game against Corinthians and Memphis Depay, it's so obvious to see. And of course, because it's Neymar, he's still capable of moments of brilliance on his own. There's still the vision, there's still the technical ability. All of that is always there and will always be there. But he's 34, he hasn't been fit for a while now. And unless he gets really fit, he won't take him to the World Cup. People in Brazil say everybody wants him there. The players in the squads, the fans, the media, everybody. Sure, I'm sure I want him there. Of course, we will be there. I want to see Neymar in his last World Cup. The beautiful new Brazil shirt as well, which is amazing. We all want it, but if you're Carlo, you also want the best 25 or 26 players that you can get, with the fittest, the most ready for it, all of that. And if he's not, then he will stay at home.
I don't think there's a single player in the world right now who receives more attention relative to his talent and his actual contributions on the pitch over the past 12 months than Neymar. It's like this. People talk about Neymar as if he's Messi, Cristiano, and David Beckham rolled into one. I'm talking about attention here, not ability. Guys, Carlo has 1 billion people to choose from. He said he's not fully fit. Let me see him when he's fit, and I'll assess him then. World Cup's in 3 months. If you can finish the season strong, if you can show that you're fit, maybe there's a room for you as a game changer off the bench. But But otherwise, this is not a big deal. And the fact that, this is massive headlines, we're talking about it, but I'm doing it to underscore how stupid this is.
Yeah.
The man is 34 years old. He's played what, like a handful of games over the last 2 years? It's just enough. When we're not talking about the reincarnation of Pelé or Maradona here. We're talking about Neymar, who...
Yeah, still, no.
The
debate is on. It's normal. But,
this is they should be debating other things. Like, how do you find 26 players when you've got 90...
Yeah, but that's the same for a lot of the big countries, though. But it's just because this March international and squad, usually for all those teams, is 95% what you will get at the World Cup. Gab, the war in Iran means the finalissima beating the European champions Spain against the South American champions Argentina has been cancelled. It was due to take place in Qatar, in Doha.
Yeah, and I think they had a $10 million guarantee, both teams, from the Qataris to play there. Obviously, with the situation, and it's even news overnight that there's been more bombings, and it's just not safe. What I find interesting, it's not a surprise that that it was canceled. What surprised me a little bit is that they couldn't agree on where to play it. And it's funny because I read a story which is clearly from the Argentina side, because they say, right, so UEFA, who effectively organized this game, they said, hey, can we play at the Bernabeu? And the Argentine FA said no, because it's not a neutral venue. It would have been at the Bernabeu with a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, let's be realistic here. You need a neutral venue for what? The World Cup final? Like, I would have hardlined it and said, no, we're playing it here, but whatever. Then they suggested, hey, let's play it in Italy. We can play it in Rome at the Stadio Olimpico or even at San Siro. Wouldn't that be fantastic? The Argentine FA accepted, but they said, okay, but then we have to play it on March 31st. UEFA said no, and it's logical they said no. It's the same date as the playoff finals for World Cup qualification. And there's a strong chance, or there's a chance anyway, that Italy are going to be in that final. Yeah. So why would you go and do this then in that situation?
It looks to me like the Argentina
didn't really want to play.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think once they saw the $10 million was gone, maybe not. U.S. men's national team and PSV Eindhoven forward Ricardo Pepi is reportedly in London undergoing a medical with Fulham.
Yeah.
Jules, he's set to move in a deal worth around £30 million. Do you like this? And are you surprised? Are you surprised they're doing it now? I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. If you can lock him in before the World Cup, especially because he will go to the World Cup, and imagine that he's on fire for the US men's national team and scoring a lot of goals and etc. The value would have maybe gone up. So I'm all happy with it. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's been given a chance to play in one of the big leagues. He did well in the last 18 months or so.
He had a chance at Augsburg. Do they not count?
But he was young, all of that. And Augsburg is not Fulham, and the Bundesliga is not the Premier League. So I think it's really good for him, for his progression at his age. He's 23 or 24. I think he's on 30 goals in his 60 last games for PSV or something like that. So, decent scoring form. So, I'm looking forward to see what he can do in the Premier League.
The only thing that surprises me a little bit about this, and I wonder if maybe PSV didn't put, if I were PSV, or maybe they have done this and we just don't know, is put a bunch of conditions in here, because you don't want a situation where, right now you're building your team for next season. Obviously, you're running away with Eredivisie, so that's not an issue. People know, oh, look, you've got, 30 million pounds or 35 million euros or whatever it is coming in.
Okay.
Maybe that right back from Almelo that you wanted to sign, instead of costing you 1 million, it cost you 1.5 million. That would be the only thing. Maybe, and so at PSG, I think you want a message, oh, well, he's done the thing, but it's conditional. It's by no means assured, blah, blah, blah.
And for Fulham, the love story with American players, obviously, continue. And I think that's good.
Back to the days of Brian McBride and the other legends.
Yeah.
Tim Ream.
Dempsey, all of that, it's great. Manchester United will reportedly submit a planning application for the new £2 billion stadium in the next 12 to 18 months. Gab, your thoughts?
My thoughts is this is some kind of joke, this story. I don't understand. We saw the mock-up.
What big is the joke?
The joke is that, in 12 to 18 months, we're going to submit a planning up. you've been talking about the stadium for a year. How long does it freaking
Oh, I
take
see
to
what
put
you
in
mean.
to
Sorry.
put in a planning application? By the way, when you put in a planning application, as anybody who's worked on in this country, it's like, this is what I would like to do, and then they come back to you and says, okay, have you thought about transportation? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? You've already paid some architect to do that stupid mock-up that looks like a circus tent.
Yeah.
Presumably they have a plan. Presumably you've thought about
But maybe
this.
they want it to be the best plan. That's why it will take a bit
So
longer.
But that's even just to put in the planning up. I mean, Chelsea have a planning application to build a 60,000 seat stadium at Stamford Bridge, which I'm pretty sure, like start to finish, took them less than a year.
Yeah.
This has been going on and on.
True.
And $2 billion. And the other thing too, by the way, where's our friend Ratcliffe in all this? In the sense, he might not be there in 12 to 18 months, and he's the public face of.
Yeah, but the club needs a new stadium, whether Ratcliffe is there or not. It doesn't matter.
I put it this way: I would love to hear the Glazers' view on this, because I actually when I hear 12 to 18 months to put in an application, it's a freaking stadium. You're not building the space shuttle. You've been working on this for a long time.
I guess
These guys are architects and urban planners. Something's not right with this story. Wilson Isidore will represent Haiti at the World Cup. Jules, he's most definitely not Paris born and bred, but he is a former French youth international.
Yeah, he's from Rennes. Rennes born and bred then.
Had no trouble going to play in Russia and violating the boycott and stuff like that. Yeah, clearly apolitical here.
But I like him a lot. And I think he obviously knew that he was never going to play for France as much as he dreamt about it when he was younger. And like you said, he played from under 16 to the under 21s. That was not going to happen for him for the A team. So he agreed to play for Haiti, which is his mum's side. And they're super happy to have him. He's super happy to go to the World Cup. And there's two other players who are not at his level and as well known than him, obviously, who also agreed to.
Is he instantly Haiti's best player?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they've got Bellegarde from.
Oh yeah.
Wolves.
Yeah.
They would be the two leaders of that team for sure.
So I looked him up because I wanted to see where he was from, where he just played for Rennes, or he was at Monaco too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. After that, he was such a young talent.
It says he's of Haitian and Malagai.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that is. Is that Madagascar?
No, Madagascar.
Oh, I was right. Yes.
Yeah.
So he could have played for Madagascar too.
He could have as well. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Barcelona will reportedly ask Manchester United to extend their loan deal for Marcus Rashford. Do you like this idea?
No.
Why not?
It's stupid. I think it's because Laporta was asked about Rashford. So, oh yeah, I like him a lot. No, this is not good use of your money. I mean, look, in the end, if you extend it on favorable terms, if it's going to cost you any money other than like a cut of his wages, you hold all the leverage here. Unless Manchester United get a new coach who says, yes, I love Marcus Rashford. I can, it's pretty obvious they're never going to pay the transfer fee for him.
Yeah.
So yes, if you can get him on super favorable terms. But when I look at the players Barcelona has, if it's going to cost you resources at the expense of addressing your issues at the back,
that's why a loan is not a bad idea. Maybe you just pay some of the wages and that's it.
He's some really big wages.
I know,
so it depends on the terms. Yes, if I can get him. But I mean, imagine if you're Manchester United. I mean, obviously the players comes into it too. But I would not make any sort of commitment to this guy beyond another year on super favorable terms, because I don't want him to get in the way of the other attacking players I have who are coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, we haven't even mentioned Gavi, and I'm assuming at some point he's going to come back, right? But
he's back now.
Maybe back into the starting lineup.
I mean, I think it will be at the weekend, yeah.
But you have so many players. You've got Rooney as well, right? I mean, you're going to do
more
something.
for the other side, yeah.
But you want to do something with him, right? You obviously have Rafinha, you have Lamine Yamal, you have Dani Olmo, you have Fermin Lopez, who doesn't start for some reason in the best 11, but on both teams he would. And now you have another guy in there.
Yeah.
I don't know that he necessarily fits. And if it's going to cost you a lot of money, I'd rather give those wages, put those resources to another position. Getafe central defender Abdel Abkar was banned for 2 games after getting sent off for molesting the only living Sorlot in captivity. Does this make sense to you, Jules?
I think it's a disgraceful ban. It should have been far more than 2 games. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. We talked about it with Nadem. on Monday, with him as a player, and that was a long time ago.
Ever
as
happened
well.
to Natum?
He said that those kind of things happen far more at the time than now, obviously with VR and everything. But 2 games is nothing. 2 games is like
Well, he was also sent off, so I assume one would have been the automatic ban, right?
yeah,
And
but
then
that's
another
what I
gone
mean.
on top. Yeah, no,
But
it's very little.
for something like that bad and that shameful, I expected far more than just 2. I'm not surprised because it's La Liga, and La Liga, I think in those kind of situations are rubbish. But yeah, I think it's terrible. It's very much too little. Mehdi Taj, the president of the Iranian Football Federation, reportedly insisted that his country is negotiating with FIFA to hold their World Cup matches in Mexico and not in the US, given the war between the US and Israel and Iran. Is this a good solution for you?
So, all right, there's 2 elements of this. First of all, I don't believe the story. It's reported. I don't know what the hell you're negotiating. You're being bombed. You're in a bunker somewhere. What negotiations? Secondly, I think it's obvious how silent FIFA have been on this.
Yeah.
And they've been criticized for being silent. But equally, I don't blame them because FIFA want to have Iran at the World Cup. Equally, we're all mindful of the fact that if you have 2 countries that are literally at war with each other, it's kind of awkward to have one of them being there, leaving aside, some of the comments that have been made by various people. So what FIFA are praying for is not to have to make a decision on this.
Yeah.
And they're going to hope that this war reaches some sort of resolution so that they can send Iran to the World Cup. If the war is still ongoing, first of all, I don't even know why this story just brings up Mexico. I don't believe
To not play in the US. So
I'm certain that
in
Iran,
Canada
in fact,
or
I'm fairly
Mexico.
certain Iran are not at war with Canada. So why not say
Yeah.
Mexico and Canada,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One thing I don't, so yeah, it would be an extreme solution. You want Iran to play. I don't know what state of mind the Iranian players are going to be in. Like, do we even
Yeah.
want to play when people are bombing our families back
Yeah,
home?
yeah.
What I don't accept when people bring up the logistics, logistically it's impossible. It's not logistically impossible. Where there's a will, your way. You can move games. But I've heard this from so many people. Oh, no, because they would have to be moved into South Korea's group. No, they don't.
Yeah, no, but
You just move the freaking games.
I know, but the other teams in their group have also made their planning
Yeah.
to play in cities that have been given
Right.
already. So that would have to change for Scotland.
That will have
Brazil,
to
all
change, and it's
know you
unfortunate
can
that it
make
has
it
to
change.
change.
Yeah, yeah.
But all of this, we know football is very important, but as Carlo Ancelotti wisely says, it's the most important of the least important things.
Yeah, yeah.
So if anything, and any FA, any coach comes out there and says, oh, no, screw this. We had planned that our training camp was here. We don't want to have to fly to Guadalajara or to Toronto. I would advise you to say, people are dying. There is a war going on. And it's not just Iran, it's Lebanon, it's Israel. It's things are getting bombed. If you can't accommodate this, because of your own, it's going to mess up your careful planning? So, no. So I don't accept the logistics. I will be really disappointed if they raise logistics as an issue why this is not possible. I pray that this is not going to be possible. I pray that this won't be needed because the war will be over.
Yeah.
But don't bring up logistics as a question, I think. And I don't know, do you feel FIFA should say something other than...
No.
They shouldn't say anything,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Or if they say something, they will anyway. They will say
a whole load of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And we are monitoring the situation, which is probably the right answer.
But not to give them ideas, most people think, and I don't know if you agree with this, but the fair plan, if Iran do have to pull out, is UAE, unless Iraq does not qualify via the Interconfederation.
Absolutely.
These are logical.
Yeah.
And by the way, with the UAE getting bombed right now as well.
Yeah. It's not easy for them either.
And Iraq facing all sorts of difficulties too.
Yeah.
That's all TBD as well. Lionel Messi scores his 900th goal for club and country, which, I said this before, not a thing, but since we started counting them for Cristiano, let's do it for him too.
Yeah.
Cristiano's still well ahead, by the way. But it's not enough.
No.
Inter Miami bounced out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. This is like the Champions League for CONCACAF.
Yeah,
This is important.
It's a very important competition.
The game finishes 1-1, and because they still have
their
away goals,
Yeah.
they're out.
Yeah, the first leg was bad, really bad.
So I should say, I haven't even mentioned, this is how pathetic I am, and we are. with a star system. I haven't even mentioned who they were playing.
Oh, against
Shout out to
Nashville.
Nashville SC. We love you down there in Tennessee.
Yeah. 0-0 the first leg, 1-1 the second leg. In Miami, I've rarely seen so little intensity in both games, to be fair, but especially in the first leg. Messi scoring early in that second leg, not being enough. This Inter Miami team, we've said it before, I think, is obviously not as good as the one that won the title last season. But when you still have Messi in your team, you probably believe that everything is good. Let's see, because there's obviously plenty more games to come, etc., etc. But he can't be happy with this team that he's playing in right now.
This is one of their shots at qualifying for the Club World Cup, which I'm sure is very important to him.
Yeah, of course. Right, the other big story, obviously, that Morocco are apparently now, Gabby, African champions 58 days after that incredible AFCON final against Senegal. CAF's appeal body, so the African Confederation, appeal body reversed an earlier ruling and determined that Senegal had forfeited the game when they walked off the pitch. Remember, after the penalty was awarded to Morocco right at the end. Obviously, Senegal are furious now with this decision and will almost certainly appeal to CAS. Try to make sense of it all, Gabby. And if you were Moroccan, would you be celebrating? I mean, they certainly are.
Right.
And so is the federation and the head of federation.
More than one thing can be true. So, no, if I were Moroccan, if I were a player, I would take no pride in this. I would certainly not be celebrating.
Yeah.
Because I didn't deserve to win. Now, doesn't mean Senegal deserved to win, and I will get to that. I would say I didn't deserve to win because on the pitch where I play football, Senegal didn't get an advantage necessarily from being off the pitch or whatever. So I think I was cheated out of it.
Yeah.
If anything, with some of the refereeing decisions, I have to be honest. I was outplayed, and in terms of what we saw on the pitch, Senegal deserved to win the game. Right. That said. Plus, you're a loser if you go and celebrate a court decision, right? The Court of Arbitration for Sport, by the way, for those who don't know, they rule on all international sport. You have 3 arbiters. They're in Lausanne, and they have the final say in all this stuff. So they crop up occasionally. You cannot walk off the pitch. So if you read if you read the rules, if you take a strictly legalistic thing. You can't walk off the pitch. There's Article 82 of the CAF rules. I have a piece up on this. If you walk off the pitch, you forfeit the game. It isn't now.
But then it should have been applied during the game.
100% should have been applied. And we talked about this before. Somebody should have been in the referee's ear and saying like, hey, apply the rules.
Yeah.
The disciplinary should have applied them initially. Now, the counter argument, which was raised by some people I spoke to, said, well, first of all, I think we can all agree on this. It shouldn't take 58 days to come to a decision, right? And it was something like 6 weeks or something like that since the first ruling came from the disciplinary body to the appeals body, right? And I'm in agreement. There's no reason. You don't need to go and interview a bunch of people. Yeah. A whole bunch of other stuff happened around it, but let's just stick to the actual fact, the walking off part. You cannot set a precedent where you walk off the pitch.
Yeah.
So the referee should have called the game. Should have had the guts, but people said like, hey, we will back you. Somebody CAF, get in his ear, right? We will back you. The disciplinary should have said, no, we can't have this. You cannot walk off the pitch. The counter argument is, but then they came back and they finished the game. And once you allow them to come back, you can't punish them for walking off the pitch because they came back. Because the rules aren't clear. They don't say you can't walk off the pitch for 10 minutes, whatever. You can't have this precedent. They need to rewrite the rules. You walk off the pitch as a team, unauthorized. You lose the game immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Except for situations, obviously, racist abuse, security, blah, 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 the usual ones, right? So, it's an absolute mess. Senegal players in their heart know that they won the game. Yeah. They know they're African champions. Equally, I think it's the right decision to strip them of the title. And it was wrong that it happened 58 days later. It's justice delayed, which is justice denied.
Yeah, true, but you can't take that decision now. It's ridiculous. So, good luck, by the way, whoever has to collect the trophy from Dakar, wherever it is. And every single medal given to any single staff member or squad member as well. I think it's a disgrace for African football. I think FIFA would have been informed by that. And when you know the links between CAF and FIFA, who are the players, who are the people in charge, Secretary General, head of CAF, how close they are to Infantino. Let not even go on the head of the Moroccan FA, who is Gianni's best friend. I mean, I think this makes football in general, African football, look so bad. It's terrible.
You know what? If they're having issues getting the trophy back from Dakar, I'm pretty sure Johnny has a good friend who lives in a big white house in Washington, D.C., who's pretty good at going and extracting things from capitals of other countries. So, I don't know, maybe you can give him a call, right?
Maybe, yeah. Who knows?
Jules, this brings us to an end. But we're going to come back on Monday. You won't be here.
No.
I'm going to be with Stuart Robson. We'll be talking some League Cup and plenty else. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.